Members and guests, candidates, esteemed press, welcome and good morning to another beautiful day in Port Angeles. It is a great day. When the governor comes to your city and touts the success of school, that is wonderful. In fact, let me read. I came to Stevens Middle School because I wanted to see some of the secrets of success. As a business organization, however, we don't want success to be a secret. We want success to be in every school and every grade. And that is why we bring the candidates to the school board here in front of us, so we can give them an oral exam. So with that stated, let's quick introduce the candidates and move right into the forum. To begin with, we have candidate Jerusha Henson. Good morning. And her opponent, candidate Susan Schadifer. Susan, welcome. It's the same format that we've come to know. It's a 5-minute opening, followed by 2 minutes to add on, refute, etc. We go to questions always by the membership first, and then if time is allowed, we love guests to come in. Please have your questions ready, and then we go to a 2-minute close. With that said, it was Jerusha that won the pick the number, so you're on for 5 minutes.
Hello, my name is Jerusha Henson. I am running for the Port Angeles School Board Director position number 5. I have 2 young children, one who is currently enrolled in one of the elementary schools and one who will be in a few years. I have a vested interest in their education. I am also an avid supporter for drug information for the community, for the parents, and for the educational system, and I would like to be part of the solution. I would also like to be part of the team that works together to find solutions for the current structural difficulties the schools are facing at this time, and to continue keeping the schools running smoothly and efficiently. During my time in office, I would like to raise the graduation rate. I would like to see a conclusion to the high school's current structural problems. I would like to improve the current bullying programs in the schools, and I would also like to improve the drug information programs. I would like to see my children and their peers receive the best education possible. These kids are the future of our town and country. We should be giving them the best we have to offer. Thank you.
Okay. Very good, thank you. And now, Susan.
Good morning. I'm Susan Schadifer, candidate for Port Angeles School Board. Thank you for this opportunity to speak. For 11 years as a substitute teacher in Esquimalt, Port Angeles districts, I worked K through 12 in every school and every subject. I earned credentials to teach and taught English, Spanish, and English as a second language. I earned a BA in political science and social science, a certificate in international relations, and a master's degree in education. I've gained perspectives unavailable to those without my background and 21 years of teaching experience. Ending her second term, Governor Gregoire lamented, "I came here determined to make the system work better, to invest more money. I put a lot more money into K through 12. But then you sit there and say, why have I not been able to get the results I set out to achieve?" End quote. In January of 2013, 45 years and $166 billion later, U.S. Health and Human Services Department released its study concluding, Head Start, quote, has no demonstrable impact on academic, socio-emotional, or health status at the end of first grade. An alternate definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again, expecting different results. Mountains of research overwhelmingly demonstrate the ineffectiveness of now trillions of dollars futilely spent to improve student outcomes. The beginning of effective remedies to increase learning starts with the acceptance of reality. Cultural deficiencies, not funding deficiencies, impede students' achievement. I advocate increased expectations for an elevated school culture to improve student outcomes without increased spending. First, let's give students more reasons to stay in school and graduate. Let's raise their expectations for accomplishments. Let's widen students' perspectives and knowledge of more options for employment. I envision a program bringing representatives from a wide variety of trades into the classroom. Trade reps could give students overviews of their trade's requirements, daily operations, and programs, etc. Additionally, to encourage graduation, I would urge the school board to actively seek and promote many more vocational scholarships. Secondly, let's raise our expectations by requiring students to arrive at school with the appearance showing they know school is for self-improvement, to learn and prepare for adulthood. Our students need a consistently enforced district-wide dress code to improve focus and performance. Our manner of dress influences our behavior and the judgments people make about us. Psychologists believe that our clothing choices affect our performance. Don't we have a responsibility for policies assisting students to become the best they can be? Thirdly, also to raise expectations of students, we should restrict all entertainment media in the classrooms to increase student focus. This excludes teacher-initiated instructional use. This should include cell phones, now somewhat controlled, entertainment games, and all televised media entertainment in the classrooms. Students who finish assignments early should expect to study, complete work from another class, and keep a book handy to read. Don't we want the highest standards for our students? We can elevate the school culture to increase graduation rates and student employment, potential for responsible adulthood through highest expectations. If you want the right remedies for improved student focus, performance, and an enhanced academic environment, I ask for your vote. Thank you. Additionally, can I have more time?
Yep.
Okay. Because private property is so vital to freedom, I'm very proud to tell you I'm the only candidate in Clallam County having been rated outstanding from Citizens Alliance for Property Rights. And the research I've done for my talk today is all on my website, so there's a lot more there that you can learn about. And that's it for right now. Thank you very much for this
Thank you,
opportunity.
Susan.
I'm Susan Shadver, candidate for Port Angeles School Board.
Very good, thank you. Jerusha, do you have 2 minutes? Would you like to add anything, comments at all? Okay, off to questions. Susan?
No, I don't have anything right
All
now.
right.
For in response to Jerusha, no, I just am ready for questions.
All right, very good. We're off to that. And once again, John has done very well and come to me ahead of time, right? Ask for a question, so please.
Yes, how does the district deal with those that identify with the LGBTQ community? They added to the acronym recently for those questioning their sexual identity.
I am confident that we have very competent administrators, teachers, and counselors, etc., to take care of any problems that those students have. We have 0.3% of the population, according to the Center for Disease Control, that consider themselves to be transgendered. So, I believe that the people in charge of managing the situation could take care of that without constructing additional facilities for those students. I believe we have facilities available right now that can handle that small percentage. Get it?
Okay.
Okay.
Jerusha, your thoughts on the LGBT community and how schools accommodate that?
I believe that we should treat them just like we treat every other student. They're not different. They're the same as all the other students, and they should be treated just as equally. There shouldn't be, and if need be for bathroom situations, something like that could be looked at, but other than that, I don't think that they should be treated any differently.
Okay, very good. Kai?
Do you believe that to improve educational outcomes, we need smaller class sizes and the necessary funding for more teachers and more facilities, or do you not believe that could make a difference in educational outcomes?
I absolutely believe in smaller class sizes. I think that the more one-on-one that students have with their teachers, that it definitely improves their chances in the classroom. And hiring more teachers is always really good. And yeah, I think that we should definitely keep the class sizes smaller.
Susan, class sizes and the funding with that.
I've researched this topic thoroughly, and I'm surprised how much information I found about this. But we could look at one example that is, there are 3 studies, one from the Center for American Progress, one from the Brookings Institute, one from some researchers at Stanford. And what they learned, the one at Stanford reviewed 277 different studies on class size. And in that study, they found that 15% of the students had improved performance. 13% had worsened their performance, and for 75%, it made no difference at all. Another study, and this is, I don't know if you're familiar with the Kansas City, St. Louis, Missouri, but in that school, the judge in that case found that this case was brought to court, and in that case, the judge ordered the St. Louis, Missouri School District to spend to bring up students' test scores up to norm. So, the district had unlimited funds. The district spent almost $200 million at the end of, $1 billion it was. So, at the end of that study, the judge looked at the records. The district had put in 13 new schools, spent 30% more than other surrounding districts. They had all-day kindergarten. They had before school and after school programs. They reduced the class sizes 15 to 1 and 16 to 1, depending on the age of the students. They had computers for every student. They had an Olympic-sized swimming pool. The list goes on and on. And at the end of 12 years, the district judge said, look, we see no improvement. So class size, it's the teacher that's really important, and I would like a way to give merit pay to teachers, because what I researched is that the teacher is the most important person in the whole class. The best teachers generally have the best students.
Councilwoman Shirley Kidd, I believe you have a question.
Yes, I do. In May of this year, I went to Mutsu, Japan, our sister city, to represent Port Angeles in their exchange program with our high school students. A few years ago, we cut out our Japanese language program in the high school, but in Mutsu, I met the assistant to the mayor, was a girl from Washington State who went who went to Mutsu on in her high school exchange program, and she's now living in Japan. I met Amy Maddie from Port Angeles, who went through our high school Japanese classes, who was a teacher over there. It's a marvelous program, and in 2 weeks, we're having their entire English class, 40 students, will be traveling from Mutsu to Port Angeles to see us. So, unfortunately, since we no longer have our Japanese class at the high school, our exchange students, we took 2 wonderful students with us, but how can we, will you support a Japanese language class in the high school again? And they absolutely support us in Mutsu. How can we get your support for this program to get it back up to what it has been?
So Susan, back to how do we support our sister city?
Our sister city and our Japanese exchange student program.
I
And
would expect that as a funding problem, is that right? I don't know if it's a funding problem or not. As far as hiring the teacher, or is that you're asking to hire a teacher?
I'm saying, would you support, would you be positive in supporting our Japanese language program and our exchange program that we've had for 20 years?
I think that would be a wonderful thing. I don't know about the funds. If I was on the board, I'd have to look and see what had priorities. So, but yes, I was a teacher of non-speaking students, non-English speaking students, so I know how valuable that is, the cultural and the language and all the other things that come with it. So that would be great to have. I'd have to look at the budget and see how we could work that out.
Teresa, your thoughts on both our sister city and supporting Japanese language classes here in Port Angeles?
I think it would be a wonderful idea. I think that would be a great opportunity for the students, not only to be able to learn another language, but to have the possibility of being able to travel somewhere like Japan and being able to see the culture that they have there and learn more about what's going on in the world and not just here in this town. I think it's a wonderful idea.
Now Peggy has a second thought of the day.
No. I haven't been in the school system. You're talking about dress code. What is it the students are wearing or not wearing, or something that should be changed? Should they wear uniforms, or what is the problem?
So we'll begin with Jerusa. So do you have any opinion on dress code currently, or do we need uniforms, etc.?
I think that the dress code that we have now is fine. I think that kids need to be able to express themselves in what they wear, especially since they are so limited in being able to express themselves in other ways. Especially in the high school, they're too young to be considered adults. They need to be able to have that part of them that shows who they are, what their nature is. So I think that the dress code that we have now is fine. I don't see a problem with kids having colors in their hair. As long as they're not showing more skin than is good, or dressing inappropriately, I think it's fine, and that they should be able to express themselves in that particular way.
And Susan, I think the question, Peggy, you wanted her to elaborate a little bit more on what...
What you meant by dress code.
Well, I'm not talking about uniforms, though. Personally, I would love uniforms. I think that's a little too much for right now. But having worked in the school for 11 years now, I have seen all kinds of things that I think are not appropriate. What examples? I've seen kids wearing tails, and I see girls with short dresses. I'm way too short to be appropriate for school. And necklines are way too low. I just think it's not acceptable for school, and I think they need to learn that they are preparing for adulthood. When they're 18, they're ready for work. They need to be prepared for how to dress when they go to work. One of the first things that happens when a school is taken over by another entity because they are failing is to institute a dress code. If you look at the evidence there are many, many studies that show how much the dress code influences behavior and how we act ourselves. So I can give you an example, though, of how dress affects people. I don't know if you role in play. I was one time, the Historical Society, I played the part of a young woman from the South who was a settler in Oregon. And putting on that costume made me feel like her, and I played the role much better. And actors and actresses, when they put on the clothing of the role they're playing, it helps change their performance. Something else I'd like you to think about is I'm fortunate to be able to sub in orchestra, Mr. Jones' class, which is fantastic. It's just one of the best things I can do as a sub Mr. Jones' class, Ron Jones. So the other day I was there and they were playing the Emperor's Waltz, and I was just, I think they played it 100 times. I would have enjoyed it every time. But I asked myself, I thought about the type of music that he selects for them. And it's wonderful music. It's so much classical music, and it's so good for the kids. But as I was sitting and thinking, I thought, what else is it that this music brings to this school and these kids and this community? And it is something we call class, good taste. And then imagine, if you will, those students at a Christmas performance, and they come out in their royal blue gowns, and the young men come out in their black suit and tie. And what a beautiful picture this is. And they look so professional. Now, if you've seen the way they come to school, imagine them performing in those clothing, that clothing. The picture totally changes. So, you imagine the actor and the actress, the performer, and how their clothing, what it does for their performance, and how people perceive them so much differently. I would like our kids to learn how important that is for them. And I think that if we want them to act more like scholars, shouldn't we expect them to dress like scholars, don't you think? That would make a huge difference. I do. Thank you.
Okay, we'll get to past President Dick Pilling, and then George, you'll be next.
I heard something about vocational studies. Not every kid goes to college. Not every child wants to go to college, can go to college. And we need vocational students. So how can we get an increased emphasis on vocational without increasing the cost of the school?
So Susan, vocational education and tying into the budget.
So, being a sub at Port Angeles High School, I have been there for some time, and the kids have what is called an advisory period. Now, I believe at the beginning, the advisory period was started, I think, to help kids with developing a portfolio. I think that's what it was for. But now, being a sub, and I'm not absolutely sure because I'm a sub and maybe they do something different with their teacher, but for years, while I've been subbing in advisory, the instructions for the sub are to have the kids work on homework, read. But that is not what they do, hardly any of them. Some of them do work on homework, some of them don't. I would like to make much more productive use of that time. So what I envision is a program that we could bring, as I said, representatives from trades into the classroom during that period. And perhaps if they have something they could do a couple of days a week that has to do with a portfolio, that would be fine. But we have 4 days a week, 33 or 34 periods, I believe, that we could use much more productively, and we could do this through video conferencing from local access television that we're now going to have, or we could do this from in-person appearances. That would bring the student so much closer to those different trades if they could use that time to do that. And that's basically, I don't see that there would really be additional cost in that, and I see the benefits would be enormous. So that's what I envision. That's, I think, the way it could work.
And Dick, if I can interject, were you asking more, would you add, or were you advocating adding vocational classes?
Yeah, and mindful of the fact that everything costs money, how could we maybe transfer some of the academic guidance towards a more vocational? Is that possible?
So since Susan, I think what we're asking, or what Dick is asking, would you support, or what are your opinions on adding vocational classes to the Port Angeles school system?
Well, I know when we've heard about a new school, they would add more tech classes and other types of vocational classes, and I would love to see that. I don't know why it's something that can't be done right now. I know there's actually a 0.3% drop in the amount of the budget for those types of classes, which is very disappointing to me. So I would like to see a real allocation of the budget perhaps, and see where we could spend more of it for hiring a couple more vocational teachers anyway. And we have, actually, as far as facilities, it seems to me that with schools empty and other places that kids could take, if there's not room at the school, but I don't know how there wouldn't be room at the school, because we have a 47% decline since the peak enrollment in the high school. So it seems to me there would be plenty of places to do that. And another thing I would really like to see, if there was a way that we wouldn't require state certification, so we could have people who are very skilled in their trade come in and teach kids. And maybe, if we didn't have the situation with unions and all, they could come in and teach maybe for less than what we're paying teachers. I know that's a state requirement, but in the future, maybe it could be adjusted. So we could have people with expert knowledge in trades come in and instruct the kids. And I'd also like for on-hands training, so they could go and visit the businesses where this is being done. Because we have I don't know if you've read, but I have read that we have perhaps 25% of businesses from abroad returning to the United States because of fuel costs are one main reason for that. But I think they could get on-the-job training, at least some experience locally. So that's what I'm hoping for. And I said we have to look at the budget, but I would hope there'd be a way to move things around, maybe classes that there's not much demand for, adjust for that.
Drew, so your general opinions on vocational education, should more classes be added, and how does that all relate to the budget?
I definitely think more classes should be added. When I was in high school, they had a VOTEC program, and we were able to take one of those classes, and instead it would give us credits for, like, say, an English class, or a science class, or a math class. And so if you weren't wanting to take a particular math class, you could instead take a class out of the VOTEC to get that credit. And I know that a lot of students in my school that I went to, we all took advantage of that. And it was a wonderful opportunity. And I think it would be a good opportunity for the students here to be able to do that. And I'm not sure how that worked into the budget then. It would take some research to find out how to work that in. I also think that just handing out pamphlets at the beginning of the year to the students so that they know that is an option is a really good idea and would definitely get some interest.
Yeah, very good. George.
Thanks, Andrew. At a meeting 2 years ago, we were told that the graduation rate from the Navy ROTC program, ROTC, was about 98%. My question is, are there other programs that could be started, not necessarily related to the military, that would increase that subset of children and parents participating so that higher graduation rates were possible?
Susan. So the question is outstanding correlation between ROTC and graduation rates at 98%. Are there other programs that you think can be put in place that gives us this phenomenal success rate? And Drusa starts.
Yes, I believe there are programs. I don't know what they are. I think that's something that talking to the students and talking to their parents and finding out what kind of interests that they have, we would be able to create programs like that to increase the graduation rate. I think did that answer your question?
Let me just say that one recent experience I've had is at Rockland. We've instituted youth sailing instruction programs, and I can almost guarantee that the students participating in that, including their parents, would guarantee that the graduation rate of that subset would be very, very high. That's just another example of having programs in place that made it involve not only the students but the parents.
I'm sorry, the correlation, what are the two things you're trying to, something about, you said the correlation between something and something else.
Well, it seems that when we have programs that involve parents and children, that the graduation rates tend to be higher than the population in general in high school.
And what did you say you thought the graduation rate was?
We were told, and maybe Mark knows the number off the top of his head, but we were told within the last 2 years that the graduation rate was about 98% from the Navy ROTC subset of students.
We were told that graduation rate was
98% in ROTC.
For ROTC. No.
Oh, okay, for ROTC, okay.
The League of Women Voters asked what we would do about the graduation rate, that it was 32% at Lincoln and 68% at Port Angeles High School. Now the figures I have, I've been to the OSP site, the state site, and there are two figures along with the test. And what's odd is that it's the very same year. All the information is the same about the testing, but one site said it's 71.6%, one site said it's 80%. So 98% would be very high, but I don't know what's wrong with why they have this. It's the same website, it's everything, but for some reason there's a discrepancy and they have two different graduation rates up, which is odd to me. But I'm sure if you could get the parents involved, that would be really good to help bring the graduation rates up, because that is one of the biggest concerns, and that is one of the concerns with McCleary, is to bring up the graduation rates. That's one of their goals. I think what's so important is that our kids that don't fit into that category where they're going on to college, they need something to give them a sense of self-worth, something they can do with their hands, because many people have a desire to do something with their hands. I mean, that's why we have them, right? With so many kids, people don't do things with their hands anymore. And I would like to be able to give them that self-satisfaction of learning to do something. Of course, it involves the mind too, but learning to do something that ordinary people value, to provide a service for them. And I think that is so important for people, young people growing up now, because I think that they're not given that help. Sure, if we could maybe we could bring parents into the schools to help the kids in some of those vocational courses, if we had that sort of thing. That would be an excellent, we could bring parents in who work in the trades. And so, yeah, I think getting parents involved is a wonderful thing, in that way especially. So, and of course that brings respect for parents when you invite them in to help teach the kids with these trades. Maybe they can't help with the college stuff, but they could help with this. So, yeah, my dad was a carpenter, and whenever I smell sawdust now, I always think of my dad. He was a carpenter for a long time, and I mean, that was his skill after he got out of the service. So I think that's wonderful to just add if we could.
Next question. Yes.
I'd like to ask Susan to respond to what her opponent had said. She said that she believed that that vocational classes are great, and that it's great to trade math and English in order to take a vocational class. Well, when do you learn math and English if you're taking vocational classes?
I know that the math and English are critical, and so I don't know that we could give up any of those unless we had not enough kids in, well, maybe we wouldn't have to if we could just move more kids into the classroom, then we wouldn't have to give those up, perhaps. So I don't know, for this, it's a lot of managing budgets and schedules and that sort of thing. I don't know that we could give up basic math and English, so that could be a problem. But I would hope it could be worked out. I wouldn't want to sacrifice the basic courses because those are critical for anybody. Yes, and so we have minimum standards for everybody, but aside from that, yes, I certainly support vocation.
Jersa, do you want to take a moment to explain a little bit what your idea was on trading off math and science for vocation?
Yes. It wouldn't be the core classes. The students would still have to take, like Algebra 1, English 1. They would still take those basic classes. When I was in the VOTEC, I traded in a Algebra 2 and then Earth Science class in order to take an auto class out of the VOTEC. And in that class, we covered enough math and enough science stuff, and we had enough tests that covered those particular subjects that we weren't missing out on that at all. We were just doing it in a different setting.
Okay, with that said, we're coming to the end of our time. As always, first, the PABA wants to thank any candidate for coming in, putting themselves in front of the grand jury throughout our community. If I'm right, the school board serves as a non-paid position, is that right? So these folks are doing this on their own time for the betterment of our community, and they deserve a round of applause for that. With that said, we'll go to 2-minute closings. Susan, you're on.
Can you use the mic again? Does that work?
What?
Can you use the mic again?
Yeah, oh, please.
Let's accept responsibility for local school reforms. Please join me for decisions based on reality and common sense. Let's make the most productive use of students, teachers, and time and taxpayer dollars. We can improve student focus and performance and assist teachers by placing restrictions on distracting entertainment media in the classrooms. Let's raise students' expectations for accomplishment. Let's encourage more to graduate by widening their knowledge of many more vocational options for employment. Let's promote vocational scholarships, many more. Let's require a consistently enforced district-wide dress code requiring good taste in clothing to increase students' seriousness about school, to improve students' performance, and enhance the academic environment. Let's establish policies that expand students' preparation for employment. Don't you want the highest expectations to elevate the school culture? Don't you want policies to assist students in becoming the best they can be? I'm Susan Shodver, candidate for Port Angeles School Board, and I ask for your vote. Thank you.
Thank you, Susan. Jersa.
The kids in the school here have so much potential, and I think that with the right school board and the right programs, that we could definitely bring that out and help them to realize all that they can be in their lives and help make them productive citizens. I think that with programs to help stop bullying, with programs to help them understand about drug information, and all the programs that we also talked about today, beyond college in a VOTEC sense, there's so much that we can do for them. And I think that if I manage to make it to the school board, that we could definitely make that possible. My name is Jerusha Henson. Thank you.
Thank you. With that, Madam President, the meeting's back to you.
And we're doing really well according to Dee's clock on our time schedule today. Once again, I want to thank both of you for your courage and dedication. It's not easy to sit here, and it's not easy to put your name on a ballot, and lots of people criticize lots of things, but they never have courage enough to put their name on a ballot to find out how many people really don't like you. I did it. So anyway, everyone have a great week. We will have more. Made you laugh, didn't I, Cindy? Andrew, who's next week?
Next week